in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis. Topping the news tonight, it was a historic day for the Registrar General's Department as it takes steps to make the Bahamas a more competitive force in the financial services sector. Cleopatra Murphy has the details on a new initiative that will have a significant impact on business in this country.
It was a landmark day for the Registrar General's Department that launched its new e-service platform Tuesday, allowing entrepreneurs to register their businesses online and increase the ease of doing business in the country. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie was on hand for the launch of the new service as the Bahamas aims to reap the benefits of information and communication technology. He says the new platform will position the Bahamas as one of the only jurisdictions in the world with the capacity to incorporate companies entirely online.
The service will be available 24/7 and it will be possible immediately to get incorporation certificates and certificates of good standing. This is the way that people expect business to be conducted in 2016. We are responding to market demand and we are doing so with a view to becoming number one in financial services in the region.
Prime Minister Christie says the milestone is an important part of the government's plan to build a safe, modern, prosperous, and stronger Bahamas. He says it is further evidence of government's commitment to encouraging high-quality domestic and foreign investment, adding that the potential it gives young people to make use of their talent is enormous.
I want Bahamians all over the Bahamas, especially young Bahamians, to recognize that this initiative enables people all over the Bahamas to have the very same opportunities to conduct business online. Young men in the Junkanoo shacks with initiative and aspirations can use their smartphone to incorporate and to sell souvenirs.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Alison Maynard Gibson, further emphasized government's commitment to effecting transformative change for the financial services sector.
We're already working on version 1B that will be unveiled on February 1st, and we hope to unveil version 2 before the end of the year.
Maynard Gibson says the aim is to eventually move toward a paperless registry and raise the department to 21st century standards with e-government. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Changes at the helm of the central bank. Financial Secretary John Roll has been appointed as the new governor of the central bank. This confirmed by Prime Minister Perry Christie, who released a statement on the appointment. Mr. Roll takes over from Wendy Craig, who has completed her statutory term of 10 years as governor and demitted office on December 31st, 2015. She was the first female to hold that post, which the Prime Minister described as vitally important in our national financial system. Moreover, he said she served with the utmost distinction throughout her tenure. The Prime Minister applauded Craig for her efforts and said she saw to it that the monetary stability of the Bahamas was maintained by the application of sound and sensible monetary policies and standards. Craig will continue to be of service to our nation, the Prime Minister revealed, as she will now serve as the Economic Policy Advisor in the Office of the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, John Roll, who played a pivotal role in the implementation of the value-added tax, assumes his new role as central bank governor with immediate effect. The Prime Minister highlighted Roll's many accomplishments in finance and said he is ideally suited for the post. The nation's leader predicts that Roll will bring to this high office the same integrity, discipline, intellectual ability, and expert grasp of monetary policy that Craig did. Meanwhile, employment opportunities could be looking up for Bahamians. The latest figures from the Department of Statistics show unemployment now at 14.8%. And while Labor Minister Shane Gibson said this is concerning, he touted many capital and private projects underway that will increase employment in this country. Janaea Noel Ferguson has the details.
Despite a grim outlook of the country's unemployment figures in 2015, Labor Minister Shane Gibson is predicting a swift turnaround.
I can tell you one thing. When the numbers come out again in May of this year, you'll see it will decrease from what it is right now.
Gibson said his optimism is based on the projects that will continue this year, many of them in the construction sector.
So we plan to start over the next couple of months. I know from national insurance point of view, we have a couple construction developments which will put a dent in the unemployment numbers in the construction industry. They have another major project coming on stream, I think, at the Defense Force, which should create some jobs as well. And we have a couple other capital development projects that the Ministry of Works will be bringing on stream over the next couple of months that will create some jobs, all those in the construction industry.
The first Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival put a dent in those unemployment figures for the early part of last year, but Minister Gibson says aside from Carnival, you will see an increase in employment figures.
I'm not even talking about Carnival. What I'm saying, I just listed to you the projects that we look at, the construction jobs, the projects coming on stream. You got the point, which will be in full swing. I didn't mention that, which will create jobs in the construction industry. You have the capital development projects and national insurance, and I know that we're in the process of having the final approvals on now. You have the capital development projects from Ministry of Works, which will create construction jobs as well. And then you have some private sector developments that we have approved, and they will be coming on stream as well.
He, however, noted that the biggest contributor in increasing those employment figures lie heavily on the opening of Bahamas.
The Bahamas incident caused the numbers really to increase the way it did, along with persons coming out of school every year. Bahamas should have been open. Unfortunately, they are not. And so hopefully Bahamas, by the middle of this year, just after the middle of the year, maybe the third quarter, Bahamas should be open. I'm not sure how soon, but if I had to guess, I'd guess maybe around the middle or the third quarter this year. And so that will create another couple thousand jobs, along with other projects that are on the drawing board. So the government is looking very seriously at this.
The Labor Minister maintained that the government has created some 20,000 jobs since coming into office in 2012, but says jobs are still not being created fast enough for the many unemployed persons coupled with persons now coming out of school. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Concerns still brewing for workers at a local property on Paradise Island. Club Landor employees have reportedly not been paid for more than 20 weeks. ZNS News understands that their employer also reportedly failed to pay Christmas bonuses and monies from the Maids Escrow Fund. Labor Minister Shane Gibson says the 40 employees have the option of filing a trade dispute in this matter. He, however, noted that the Club Landor employees have been down this road before with their employer. The 50-room Paradise Island property also had its electricity turned off previously. Gibson said that the government cannot force owners to pay their employees, that he said that is where the courts step in.
That's what the courts are there for. And as you know, at the Department of Labor, we can only mediate. At the tribunal, they can issue rulings depending on what the situation is. But at the end of the day, the employers must still have the means to pay or the desire to pay. I'm not sure what the situation is. I'm not sure. There were two brothers at the time when I met with them a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if the two brothers are still involved in the development. I'm not sure if their intentions are still carry out refurbishments and try to upgrade the property to better be able to sell it. I'm not sure what the situation is, but once they file the trade dispute at the Department of Labor, Mr. Robert Farquharson, who is the Director of Labor, I'm sure he can shed some light on it once he has all of the facts.
Now on to health news. Registration for the government's National Health Program is underway, where Bahamians are being asked to obtain a smart card from the National Insurance Board. Permanent Secretary with responsibility for NHI, Peter DeVoe Isaacs, stressed the importance of Bahamians doing so.
That process will prepare them to be enrolled in NHI. So the first responsibility of each citizen in the Bahamas is to make sure they get their smart card at NIB.
Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. DeLon Brennan, who is also NHI's project manager, confirmed to ZNS News that the program's second phase will be rolled out in the second quarter, which includes access to primary care and diagnostic services.
Primary care services are really those essential healthcare services that one would access on an outpatient basis. So when people think of going to either their family doctor, they think of going to their general practitioner, their pediatrician, their internist, even OBGYNs for antenatal services around pregnancy. Those kinds of services that you access at the physician, for those would be what we refer to as primary care services.
While Cable Bahamas Limited has been given the go-ahead to increase its fee for basic television services, consumers can expect to pay more for cable services in the coming weeks. It's an issue, however, that's not going over too well with some members of the public. In this exclusive interview, Carla Palmer spoke one-on-one with the CEO of IRCA, who explains the reason behind their decision.
Look out for consumers.
Right now, those words by Mrs. Kathleen Riviera Smith, Chief Executive Officer of the Utilities Regulation Competition Authority, IRCA, are hollow to many consumers already experiencing a tug-of-war on their financial purse to pay bills. And so, there remains widespread public dissatisfaction to IRCA's approval, granting Cable Bahamas Limited a price increase for basic cable services this year.
I think it's highway robbery, actually. If you ask me, Cable Bahamas has not lived up to its initial contract agreement with the Bahamian public. We still have many islands that are not covered by Cable Bahamas. So for them to turn around now and ask the public to pay an increase in prices, to me is ridiculous. And I think myself, like many others, will now look for other options.
I think it's not fair because we are poor people. And cable going up and being making that kind of money.
I think it's too high. I think the price is too high right now for the poor people. Because the people don't have tax on them, and to bring this back on the people now, I think more people can be able to shut down cable and go someplace else.
Those residential subscribers of Cable Bahamas are objecting to an increase of $8 from $30 to $38, while Business Prime commercial subscribers will have to pay $14 more from $50 to $64. IRCA's CEO, Riviera Smith, is standing by the decision. She explains that Cable Bahamas was only granted on what was requested and not based on other factors that may have arisen during those town meetings by members of the public.
The main factor was they presented evidence to suggest that the cost was increasing, and therefore it seemed justified to approve the application. With regards to Cable Bahamas not living up to its previous obligation, that agreement has expired, and we have to move forward. So we're in a current regime under IRCA, and we're going forward. The final decision was basically an application for a price increase. As we said, quality of service is also a separate issue. We also have a public consultation out with regards to quality of service metrics for all operators. That was published on the 22nd of December, and we're actually seeking comments from the public. So we have to deal with that as a separate matter.
Additionally, IRCA's CEO says there is a compensation scheme in place for consumers who may feel disenfranchised as a result of any telecommunications entity in the country, and she's inviting persons to call IRCA with any complaints. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.
A large number of employees from the Department of Civil Aviation, the Met Office, Labor and the Public Service were sent home today following the discovery of mold in the office building on Blake Road. According to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Transport and Aviation, Lorraine Umbrister, 2 cleaning companies are clearing the mold from the building, allowing employees to go home for the day. Those employees impacted will return to work tomorrow. However, Umbrister says the mold issue had a great impact on operations.
Contacted the MRAD division. Ms. Anthony Ryan from the MRAD division did recommend a company to come in to do some cleaning to address the mold issue. The cleaning was done. However, the situation really relates to the air conditioning system, so of course the mold reoccurred. And so some additional cleaning had to be done today, and that is why staff was sent home. Mr. Ryan will do an assessment again in the morning, and provided the cleaning was properly done, the staff will remain in the building and continue while long-term attention is given to the issue.
Now, Umbrister says employees are deeply concerned about the mold issue as it can bring about major health challenges for them in the future.
some staff have indicated that they have been presented with various illnesses, and they have gone to their doctors. And where those matters come to our attention, we will follow up as required by government regulations. But the point that has been made by Mr. Ryan is that we're not aware that anywhere that mold has long-term health consequences. There may be some discomfort for persons who are prone to allergies or have other issues. And those persons, certainly we would afford them due consideration. And, once we have some certification from their doctors, they will be treated accordingly. And